Chosen one, pause for a moment. Take a breath, because this message did not arrive by accident, it arrived by appointment. Something unseen aligned the timing, the moment, and your attention right now. You didn't scroll into this by chance. Heaven has been patient, precise, and intentional. And before anything else is said, know this. This message carries humility, correction, and mercy all at once. For a long time, you've been carrying quiet questions in your spirit. Questions you didn't speak out loud because you didn't want to sound unfaithful. You wondered if you misunderstood God, if you heard him wrong, if you stepped out too early or believed too boldly. And chosen one, before we go deeper, pause for a moment, hit subscribe, like, and comment, Amen, if your spirit is already responding, because this message is about to speak directly to you, not generally, not vaguely, but personally. This is a spiritual step, not a routine action. Now listen carefully. Tonight, heaven wants to speak clearly. You were not wrong for believing. You were not foolish for trusting. You were not weak for hoping. But some assumptions around the timing, the people, and the process were incomplete. And that distinction matters. God is not disappointed in you. He's not pulling away his hand. In fact, he's doing the opposite. This message comes because God is realigning, not rejecting. You thought the delay meant denial. You thought the silence meant abandonment. You thought the resistance meant you missed it. But chosen one, what you couldn't see was God protecting you from what looked right but wasn't ready. Light doesn't always move fast. It moves accurately. Shadow doesn't always attack. Sometimes it distracts. And God, in his wisdom, slowed the process so your future wouldn't collapse under premature weight. We were wrong about how it would happen. Wrong about who would walk with you. Wrong about when the door would open. But God was never wrong about you. Not your calling, not your capacity, not your assignment. Right now, God is correcting your vision, not canceling your destiny. He's refining your understanding, not removing your purpose. That's why this message feels heavy and relieving at the same time. Because correction from God is proof you're still chosen, still trusted, still involved in his plan. So don't carry shame. Don't replay the past in regret. Don't withdraw your faith now. Adjust, listen closer, move forward wiser than before. Chosen one, this is not an ending. It's a course correction before acceleration. And what God is about to reveal next will make everything clearer than it's ever been. Chosen one, listen closely, because this moment is sacred. What you are sensing right now is not confusion. It is clarity arriving quietly. God is admitting a course correction, not because you failed, but because you are trusted enough to be refined. This is not heaven changing its mind about you. This is heaven sharpening your understanding before the next level unfolds. God is saying, you heard me, but not everything clearly. And that sentence carries no disappointment, no anger, no withdrawal of favor. It carries intimacy. It carries relationship. Only someone who is close enough to hear God in the first place is invited into clarification. Think about that. Would God correct someone he was finished with? Or would he correct someone he is still actively guiding? Chosen one, there are seasons when obedience looks like bold action, and there are seasons when obedience looks like fine-tuning perception. You didn't imagine the call, you didn't fabricate the assignment, you didn't mishear the direction, but timing, alignment, and surrounding details matter. And God, in his mercy, steps in before misunderstanding turns into unnecessary struggle. Have you noticed how certain things almost worked, but not fully? How doors opened, but wouldn't stay open? How momentum started, then slowed, not stopped, just adjusted. That wasn't resistance, that was refinement. Elevation without refinement creates collapse. God slows what he values so it can last. This is where many people feel shame, but you must not. Failure says, you're done. Refinement says, you're being prepared. Failure abandons. Refinement invests. And right now, God is investing deeply in you. He is recalibrating your spiritual hearing so that what comes next doesn't require repair later. Chosen one, understand this. Clarity often comes after movement, not before it. You had to step out to discover what still needed alignment. You had to try to see what needed correction, and God allowed that not to embarrass you but to mature you. Isn't it comforting to know that even when your understanding wasn't complete, God still guarded the outcome? Ask yourself gently, what has God been reframing in your spirit lately? What expectations are softening? What assumptions are dissolving? This is not loss. This is precision. God is narrowing the path so your steps are surer, your footing stronger, and your confidence quieter but deeper. This course correction is proof that elevation is near. God does not refine what He does not plan to use. He does not clarify what He does not intend to fulfill, and He does not revisit a calling unless it is still alive. So breathe, chosen one. Release the need to be right about everything. Embrace the grace of being taught by God Himself. What's ahead requires clearer vision, calmer faith, and deeper trust. And that is exactly what God is forming in you now. This is not a setback. This is a divine adjustment before acceleration. And the next time God speaks, you will hear Him with even greater clarity than before. Chosen one, let this truth settle gently into your spirit because it reframes everything you thought you lost. The delay you've been questioning was never punishment. It was protection wrapped in silence. What felt like God saying, wait, was not hesitation. It was interception. Heaven stepped in quietly and stood between you and something that looked right, felt urgent, but was not yet safe for your becoming. You interpreted the pause as rejection. You wondered if you had disappointed God, if you had moved too slowly or asked for too much. But what if the delay wasn't about your readiness? What if it was about what was waiting on the other side? God sees layers you cannot. He sees outcomes you haven't imagined. And sometimes His love says, not yet, because right now would cost you more than you could recover from. Think back for a moment. What were you praying for during that season of waiting? What door were you eager to walk through? What answer did you hope would come faster? Now ask yourself honestly, were you emotionally fortified for it? Spiritually anchored enough? Surrounded by the right support? God doesn't rush blessings into unstable environments. He shields what He plans to sustain. Chosen one, if it had happened earlier, it would have hurt you. Not because the vision was wrong, but because the timing was off. Premature fulfillment often creates permanent wounds. God delays not to tease, but to train. He slows the process so you don't break under the weight of what you prayed for. Would you rather have it quickly and lose yourself, or receive it whole and remain intact? Notice how the delay forced growth you didn't plan for. Patience you didn't want to learn. Discernment you didn't know you needed. Strength that only develops in quiet endurance. God was building capacity while you thought nothing was happening. And now looking back, can you see how some desires softened, how certain expectations changed, how your discernment sharpened? This is why delay feels confusing, because protection doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with thunder. It shows up as unanswered messages, stalled progress, closed doors that don't explain themselves. Only later do you realize what didn't happen and how close you came to something that would have cost you peace, clarity, or identity. Chosen one, God never withholds to harm. He withholds to heal. He pauses to preserve. And He blocks to bless more accurately. The delay was not evidence that God forgot you. It was proof that He was watching closely. So stop rehearsing what could have been. Stop mourning doors God closed intentionally. Trust that His timing is not late, it is exact. Ask yourself this: who are you now that you weren't then? What wisdom do you carry today that you lacked before? That growth is not accidental. It is the reward of protection disguised as waiting. And now, as the season shifts, you'll step forward not desperate, not rushed, but anchored and aware. Chosen one, the delay saved you, and what God is releasing next will meet you whole, not wounded, not hurried, but ready. Chosen one, this truth requires maturity to receive, and gentleness to hold. Certain people were never assigned to go this far with you, not because they were evil, not because you imagined the connection, but because you misunderstood the purpose of their presence in your life. What you labeled as destiny was often alignment for a season, not accompaniment for the full journey. God is not rewriting your story, He is clarifying the cast. Some people were sent to awaken you. Some were sent to comfort you during survival. Some were sent to sharpen you through friction. But not everyone who plays a role in your becoming is meant to walk beside you into fulfillment. And when God begins to elevate you, confusion becomes dangerous. So He removes it, not abruptly, but intentionally. Have you noticed how certain relationships began to feel strained without obvious conflict? How conversations lost their depth? How the connection felt familiar, but no longer nourishing? That's not distance created by pride. It's discernment activated by growth. When your spirit matures, it outgrows what once sustained it. Chosen one, God is removing confusion so your next step is clean. Clean movement requires clear vision. Clear vision requires uncluttered emotional space. If God allowed certain people to remain, they would blur your decisions, delay your obedience, or anchor you to a version of yourself you are no longer called to be. That's not cruelty, that's mercy. Sometimes confusion comes not from lies, but from mixed signals. From relationships that feel safe but don't move you forward. From people who mean well but can't follow where obedience leads you. God doesn't wait until harm happens. He intervenes when misalignment becomes subtle but persistent. Ask yourself this honestly, chosen one. Who feels entitled to your time, your energy, your emotional access, but resists your growth? Who benefits from your old rhythm but feels uncomfortable with your evolution? Who walks with you easily in comfort but struggles when purpose requires change? These questions aren't meant to accuse, they're meant to clarify. Let this comfort you. Removal does not mean erasure. What was real was real. What helped you, helped you. God honors seasons. He just doesn't confuse them. When a season ends, wisdom knows when to release without resentment. Destiny doesn't drag people forward. It invites those who are assigned. God is not punishing anyone by creating distance. He is protecting you from emotional overlap that would contaminate your next decision. The next step requires clean obedience, clear hearing, and undivided focus. And clarity often comes through quiet separation. Chosen one, you are not losing people. You are losing confusion. You are not being isolated. You are being prepared. When God clears the path, it's because the next move matters more than comfort. And when the right connections arrive, they will not compete with your calling. They will confirm it. Trust this release. What is meant to go further will meet you ahead, not cling to you behind. Chosen one, receive this gently, because this truth restores dignity to your faith. Your faith was right. Your belief was not misguided. Your hope was not misplaced. You weren't foolish for trusting God with bold expectation. You were simply early. And being early is not the same as being wrong. Timing does not cancel truth. It completes it. You believed before the conditions aligned. You stepped forward while heaven was still arranging details behind the scenes. And because you moved with sincerity, it felt painful when things didn't unfold as expected. But God is not correcting your faith. He is synchronizing heaven and earth so that what you believe manifests without breaking you in the process. Think about it. Faith often arrives before evidence. Vision comes before structure. Revelation comes before readiness. You saw it early because you were chosen to carry it, not because it was ready to be released. God allowed you to glimpse the promise so you wouldn't quit during the waiting, but now He's teaching you the difference between revelation and release. Have you noticed how the same promise still burns in your spirit, but the urgency feels different? Less frantic, less anxious, more grounded. That's timing maturing your faith. God is aligning people, resources, emotional readiness, and spiritual authority all at once. Because if heaven moves before earth is ready, the blessing becomes a burden. Chosen one, being early often feels like embarrassment, but in the spirit, it's evidence of sensitivity. You heard God ahead of schedule. You perceived what others couldn't yet see. And instead of punishing you for that, God protected you from launching something that would have been misunderstood, unsupported, or prematurely attacked. Ask yourself this: if it had happened when you first expected it, Would you have had the discernment you have now? The boundaries? The emotional stability? The spiritual authority? God delays manifestation not to question your faith, but to strengthen your capacity to steward what He promised. Right now, heaven and earth are being synchronized. What God spoke is meeting the right season. What you believed is aligning with the right structure. What you saw in faith is now being prepared in reality. And when timing meets truth, there is peace instead of pressure. This is why the frustration is lifting, why clarity is replacing confusion, why your prayers sound calmer but stronger. You're no longer trying to force God's hand. You're learning to walk with His rhythm, and that shift is everything. Chosen one, do not shrink your faith because timing taught you patience. Do not silence your belief because waiting humbled you. Faith refined by timing is unstoppable. What's coming will not require you to convince, defend, or rush. It will arrive with confirmation, stability, and divine ease. So rest in this truth. You were not wrong. You were early, and now God is aligning the moment so that when it happens, it lasts. Stay ready. Stay grounded. The synchronization has begun. Chosen one, let this truth settle deep into your spirit because it restores what doubt tried to steal. This correction is not rejection. It is confirmation. It is proof that you are still chosen, still trusted, still actively involved in what God is doing. God does not correct strangers. He corrects sons and daughters. He refines what He plans to use. Silence would mean distance. Correction means involvement. Think about that for a moment. If God were finished with you, there would be no interruption, no adjustment, no gentle but firm redirection. He would simply let you continue without guidance. But instead, God leaned in. He spoke again. He clarified. He intervened. That alone tells you everything you need to know about your standing with Him. Many people misunderstand correction because they associate it with failure. But in the kingdom, correction is intimacy. It means God is close enough to notice the details of your movement. It means He cares enough to protect the outcome. It means He is invested in your future, not just aware of your past. Would God spend time refining someone He planned to discard? Chosen one, correction is proof of trust. God trusts you to adjust without quitting. He trusts you to receive truth without hardening your heart. He trusts you to grow instead of retreat. That's why this moment feels sobering but strengthening at the same time. You are being treated like someone with responsibility because you have one. Have you noticed that God didn't shame you when He corrected you? He didn't expose you. He didn't embarrass you. He simply redirected your steps and guarded your heart. That's the tone of love, not disappointment. God corrects privately when He plans to elevate publicly. Ask yourself honestly, if God were done with you, would He still be teaching you? Would He still be adjusting your vision? Would He still be protecting you from premature outcomes? Or would He simply let you drift? The very fact that this correction reached you means you are still under divine care. Chosen one, this is not demotion, it is preparation. God is not pulling you out of purpose, He is pulling distractions out of you. He is not removing your calling, He is removing confusion around it. And that takes patience, humility, and trust. Qualities God only cultivates in those He values deeply. This is why you feel watched over, even in the discomfort. Why you feel guided, even when plans shift. Why peace returns quickly after the initial sting. That's the assurance of involvement. God is walking with you, not evaluating you from a distance. So don't misinterpret this moment. Don't shrink back. Don't go silent in your faith. Lean in. Receive the correction as evidence of closeness. Allow it to strengthen your discernment, sharpen your obedience, and mature your confidence. Chosen one, you are still chosen, still called, still trusted. And the God who corrected you is the same God who will complete what He started. Chosen one, this is where the atmosphere begins to shift. What comes next will move faster. Not because you rushed, but because alignment has finally settled into place. When heaven and earth agree, momentum no longer struggles, it flows. God does not accelerate confusion, He accelerates clarity. And now that alignment has happened within you, movement is no longer delayed. Once alignment happens, acceleration follows. This is why God spoke now, not later, not after things started unfolding, before momentum begins. God always corrects before he releases speed, because speed without alignment creates damage. But speed with alignment creates favor. What once felt heavy will begin to feel natural. What once took effort will begin to take grace. And what once felt stuck will suddenly respond. Have you noticed how your spirit feels quieter lately, but stronger? How you're less desperate for signs, yet more confident in direction? That's alignment. Noise fades when purpose locks in. God has been removing internal resistance, so that when movement begins, you won't second-guess every step. Acceleration requires trust, and trust requires peace. Chosen one, acceleration does not always announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it shows up as doors opening without explanation, conversations shifting unexpectedly, decisions resolving themselves, people responding differently to you, opportunities aligning without force. That's the hand of God moving ahead of you, clearing what used to slow you down. Ask yourself this: why does it feel like certain things are suddenly easier to release? Why do some fears no longer grip you the way they used to? Why does your vision feel clearer even though circumstances haven't fully changed yet? That's because the change has already happened internally. And external movement always follows internal agreement. God spoke now because what's ahead will require readiness. When acceleration begins, there is little time to debate, hesitate, or revisit old confusion. The window opens and obedience must be fluid. God didn't want you questioning your calling while opportunity was knocking. He wanted you grounded before speed arrived. This next season will not look like the struggle you've known. It will still require faith, but not exhaustion. It will still require obedience, but not anxiety. You won't need to chase what God is releasing. You'll recognize it, and you won't have to force alignment. You'll feel it. Chosen one, acceleration doesn't mean everything happens at once. It means progress becomes consistent. It means delays stop repeating. It means lessons stop looping. It means movement finally matches effort. And when God accelerates, he also sustains. What he releases quickly, he stabilizes deeply. So stay present, stay prayerful, stay attentive. Don't rush ahead of grace, but don't hesitate when peace confirms direction. This is not the season to overthink. It's the season to move with clarity. God spoke before momentum began, because once it starts, it will be undeniable. And when it does, you'll look back and realize this moment, right now, was the final alignment before everything shifted. Chosen one, prepare your heart. What comes next will move faster, and this time, you're ready.